Hey everyone, George here from the F1 Chronicle, and we've just had the first qualifying of the season in Bahrain just now on a Friday, which is very strange still to me. But yeah, obviously the first couple races of the season starting on a Saturday rather than a Sunday as normal. And I'm bringing you 5 things that we've learned from this qualifying today because for those that have seen it, it was quite eventful. You could have missed some of the stories in there. And for those of the people that haven't seen it, here's a bit of a recap on the main talking points. And we'll start with Alpine, who were absolutely shocking during qualifying. Both Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly out in Q1. Both of them bottom of the grid. They will start in 19th and 20th, aka last and second last. Now, we did expect them to struggle. I didn't think they, looked particularly great. The livery of the car is something that we've spoken a lot about, and it looks awful. But the main thing that will concern them is how bad they were today in qualifying. And Esteban Ocon on the radio was very upbeat. He was like, "Come on, guys, we can still do it. We can still do well tomorrow." But I must be honest, I am not confident that at all. I think they are in for a world of hurt this season. After trying to knock on the door of the top 4 teams last season, they have slid back and are arguably the worst car on the grid. But we've seen how teams can recover, like McLaren did last season. So you never know. Stranger things have happened. Next up is actually a good news story: is Haas and Nico Hulkenberg made it into Q3. Now I expected Haas to really struggle this season. Their testing times were terrible, but they focused a lot on their long runs. So hopefully tomorrow in the race they'll actually be pretty good, because their problem wasn't qualifying last season. Their qualifying was quite good, but um, obviously them in the race was downright terrible, last in the constructors last year. So Hulkenberg looking likely for some points, possible for K-Mag too, him starting in the midfield there slightly behind him. Next up we've got Ferrari. I mean, we obviously love the look of their car. I think it's the best looking car on the grid. And it is very fast as well. Not quite as fast as the fastest team. They're not quite up there with Red Bull, but good performance from them today. Charles Leclerc in second, Carlos Sainz in fourth. Very good performance by them overall, and the same average qualifying position for them as Red Bull. So obviously Ferrari are looking likely to be the closest challengers to Red Bull, because Mercedes, they were up there, George Russell in third, but I don't know. Lewis Hamilton really struggling today in qualifying. So I think Ferrari are looking good for second in the constructors, which would be a good season for them. Obviously, they want more, but it'd still be good considering how they've been in recent years for sure. And my last two on the list are both related to Red Bull, both their drivers. We're going to talk about the drivers. We're not going to talk about the stuff off the track. Obviously, Red Bull making headlines for the wrong reasons, or more specifically their team principal, which you can read about in my latest opinion piece for F1Chronicle.com as well. But yeah, Sergio Perez, we'll talk about him first. Fifth in qualifying today, over 3 attempts off Max Verstappen, which I suppose isn't a disaster, but starting fifth when, you've really got to be up there with Verstappen from the very start to be able to challenge him, I'm not too confident. And we've seen last season how bad he was at making his way through the field at times. Sometimes very good, but sometimes very bad. And I think optimistically, even if he does make his way through those Ferraris and the Mercedes of George Russell quickly, Verstappen's going to be 20 seconds down the road by then, so it won't matter. And my last point, obviously, is Verstappen and Red Bull, particularly Max Verstappen, 3-time world champion, looking like the heavy favourite to make it 4 in a row. The very heavy favourite for the win tomorrow, over 0.2 of a second ahead of Charles Leclerc, who was an absolute qualifying master last season. It's looking very ominous for him. So Max Verstappen very much the heavy favourite, but who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, And I'm looking forward to the race tomorrow. I'm going to do my reaction to the race tomorrow as well with another video like this, and also an opinion piece that'll go up on f1chronicle.com. But what were your takeaways from qualifying? What were your main takeaways from that? What were your main points? Which surprised you? If I missed anybody that you wanted to talk about, let us know in the comments below.